Before Eric Cantona became the guy who kung fu kicked a fan during a live game, he was already known for being a player who liked to live on the edge. United fans loved it, and opposing fans absolutely despised it. Every match became a battle to get inside his head. On the 25th of January 1995, he finally snapped. And what happened next became the most shocking moment in Premier League history. By the time the 1994-95 season had come around, Cantona's reputation as an elite player had only grown. He was the guy every stadium, every player, every camera focused on. Everyone understood the same thing. If you could get inside his head, you had a real chance of winning. And people tried, every single week. But the most surprising thing is, he actually didn't snap back that often. Not even close to what his reputation suggests. Most matches he swallowed everything and turned it into fuel. Whether that be a goal, an assist, or an incredible solo effort, he always ensured that the stadium went silent. Still, no one can hold all of that in forever. And that season, the pressure hit different. United were fighting for the title, the media were openly trying to provoke him, and opposition players spent all game trying to get into his head as if their lives depended on it. If you watch those months back, you can see those signs building. Only small ones at first. A shove after a foul, a quick argument with a linesman, a frustrated step towards a referee before walking away. Nothing major, but they all pointed in the same direction. Sir Alex Ferguson saw it as well, and he later confessed that he knew Cantona wasn't struggling with form, but the constant hostility that was surrounding him. And for a player like Cantona, that kind of pressure is way more dangerous than anything else that was happening on the pitch. Cantona loved big moments, in fact he lived for them, but he hated being humiliated. Then came Crystal Palace vs Manchester United, January 25th, 1995. A cold night at Selhurst Park. One defender, Richard Shaw, stuck to him the entire half. None of this was new to Cantona, in fact he experienced it every single game. But something was clearly different this time. For once the pressure wasn't building from the outside, it was actually building from the inside. Cantona looked tired of the insults, the fouls, being the victim in everyone else's story. And for the first time in a while, Cantona reacted to them. In the 49th minute, Shaw tugged him again while they were on the run.
Cantona trying to get on his way, had a little kick at Shaw there out of frustration, and the linesman had a very, very good view of it. Now, temperature's rising, and out comes the red card. There's the morning headline.
Cantona didn't argue, he didn't say a word. In fact, he was barely surprised because he knew what he did. But as Cantona walked towards the touchline, a Palace fan named Matthew Simmons burst onto the scene. He ran down 11 rows of steps, pushing past everyone, just to get to Cantona. And what he yelled wasn't friendly banter.
Oh, what's going on here? Cantona's getting involved with some supporters. Oh, this is outrageous.
No wrestling, no fighting back. It was done. Before the final whistle was blown, the moment had rightfully become something bigger than the match itself. The replays were on TV within minutes, and it was discussed all over the country. This was it, the moment Eric Cantona had finally snapped, and for everyone preying on his downfall, it was sweeter than they had ever imagined. Commentators were struggling to frame what they had just seen. I mean, who else has thrown themselves into a crowd and kung fu kicked a fan? By the end of the night, the clip had been shown so many times that not a single person was unaware of what had happened at Selhurst Park. Newspapers rushed out early editions, and none of them tried to be subtle about it. Phone-ins, panel shows, politicians, everyone had an opinion on Eric Cantona. Behind the scenes, the reaction from football authorities was just as quick. Manchester United issued their own punishment first, a fine and an internal suspension. But to no one's surprise, the FA weren't satisfied. They stepped in, reviewed the case themselves, and extended the ban to 9 months, one of the longest bans the Premier League has ever seen. Then came the legal side of it. Simmons, who was just once another face in the crowd, had now become a key witness in an assault case. His initial statement claimed he said something harmless. Off. It's an early bath for you, Mr. Cantona. But people around him that night told a very different story. Several witnesses reported that his words were actually personal, racist, and xenophobic, and also along the lines of "back to France, you French." Once the courts began to look into Simmons more closely, his background did not help him at all. There were previous incidents, behavioural red flags that were in line with his comments. And during his hearing, he actually lashed out at the prosecution lawyer and had to be restrained while screaming, "I am innocent, I swear on the Bible, you press, you are scum," ultimately rewarding him with a week in jail for contempt in court. He was then banned from all football matches for 12 months. Cantona's own case moved quickly too. He pleaded guilty and the initial verdict was harsh. He got 2 weeks in prison. A Premier League footballer, one of the biggest names, if not the biggest in the country, was going to be sent to jail. But United appealed the ruling, and they actually managed to get the sentence down to just 120 hours of community service. But the message from the court was clear: this wasn't going to be treated lightly. Throughout all of this, Cantona barely spoke at all. But when he had his opportunity in a room full of journalists, he delivered one short line that would be remembered forever. "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea." The journalists likely knew what he meant, but they chose not to when they published the story, and somehow that only made the moment more iconic. The ban itself was brutal. He wasn't allowed to train with the team, he wasn't allowed to play competitively for 9 months, and the French national team cut ties with him. For most players, this would have destroyed them and their career. While United pushed on for the rest of the season without him, Cantona stayed in the background, largely silent, just trying to work out what the next part of his career would look like, or whether there would even be a next part. But the ban did eventually end, and as soon as he came back into training, the mood around the club shifted immediately. The players responded to him, and Sir Alex Ferguson trusted him instantly. They needed him desperately and they knew it. United had won the Premier League 2 years in a row before the incident, but after his suspension that season, they ultimately ended up a singular point behind Blackburn Rovers. His first game back was against Liverpool at Old Trafford. Perfect. He set up a goal.
And Butt goes in! Cantona has made a goal for Nicky Butt!
Scored a penalty. And the stadium was roaring all game long. The King was back. He played with the same confidence as before, but without the same edge that would get him into trouble. And by the end of the season, the impact was obvious. He finished as United's top scorer with 19 goals alongside 14 assists, leading United to their 3rd league win in just 4 years, while also scoring the winning volley in the FA Cup final against Liverpool, deservedly earning him the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year. Then in the next season, he did it again. He became the first non-British Manchester United captain in history, helping the club earn yet another league title over Newcastle and the Community Shield. Yet the best part was, he hadn't received a single red card since the incident. But all good things come to an end. Despite winning 4 Premier League titles in 5 years with United, and managing a neat tally of 82 goals and 63 assists in just 185 games for them, he announced his shock retirement at the age of 30 after his passion for playing was fading due to his belief that he was at the peak of his career. For a player whose entire career was nearly defined by an unforgivable moment, Cantona managed to shift the narrative and end it on his own terms, something that not many players get to do.